From Mamamia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Laura Brodnick.
And I'm Ksenia Lukic.
And coming up on the show today, the pop girls are involved in some drama. So we have two big celebrities that are doing tours and appearances at the moment, and people are very upset about some of their onstage antics. We're going to get into that. I might have a bit of a different opinion. And also, Khloé Kardashian has responded to a really interesting thread that a doctor put up on TikTok. So we're going to get into that because it's kind of blowing up the lid off this whole Kardashian surgery conspiracy. But again, we have some thoughts. But first,
okay, so Glastonbury was this weekend, one of the biggest festivals in the world. So I kind of wanted to go into some of our favourite Glastonbury moments. One of the ones that I really wanted to talk about first was Lewis Capaldi coming and doing a surprise set, which I thought was really sweet. Now, the reason this is special is because the last time Lewis Capaldi was on the Glastonbury stage was back in 2023 after his Tourette syndrome caused his vocal cords to seize up and he couldn't complete his set. So it's been 2 years since he's done that. And it was really sweet. It was a very short set and he sung sort of his primary songs, but he got a really, really warm welcome from the crowd and people were really happy to see him there. And it like really warms my heart because seeing that like vulnerability from an artist just really humanizes them. And I really love that Lewis Capaldi was able to kind of overcome, because he's been really open about his Tourette's, able to overcome that and, you know, sing again. And I think he shed a little tear at the end, which was very sweet.
I love him. Not only is he one of the most successful artists in the world, like all his tours and everything sell out instantly, but his voice is incredible. He's also one of the funniest artists around. Like sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I'll just go onto TikTok and like search Lewis Capaldi interview moments and just watch the highlights of it because he just says whatever comes into his mind and his comedic timing is so good. Like he's not even trying to be funny. He just naturally is a very funny person.
I feel like there's some clips of him on Graham Norton, which are
so good.
Iconic. So that is probably one of my big highlights. The other one was Olivia Rodrigo.
Yes.
So she was obviously the headliner. She played on the last night. She actually did a surprise. She brought out Robert Smith from The Cure, which is cool. Very cool. Like I could never be that cool.
Well, I love that she plays homage to famous artists of the past. So The Cure and also previously Avril Lavigne. Of equal standing, I would say. Like she loves to kind of pull out those more retro tunes.
She's 22 and she's got that kind of, you know, Joan Jett, like really cool rocker chick vibe, and she really was leaning into that on the stage.
She's a very cool, like I feel she's always, you always see her, she's never seems flustered, she's always really cool and really calm. Can't relate to that. I met her briefly when she was in Australia for her tour and she said to me, your hair is so gorgeous. And I just like, I probably shouldn't have. I grabbed her arm and said, oh my God, Olivia, thank you so much. I will live off that forever. And I think she was quite freaked out, but she stayed very calm only because, you know, I'm like, I hate my hair.
That's so amazing.
I don't think it did look good. She was giving a compliment to every person as they came up to her and she was almost like, what can I say about this person?
Do not downgrade yourself there, Laura. She loved your hair and you look beautiful.
But I love how she was just like, she was like a queen doling out compliments to her peasants who were coming to like bow at her feet. It was great.
And it's a good moment for you and you're remembering it.
Yes.
Now the other thing that we saw was Harry Styles.
Yeah.
A little bit gossipy, this one, but I'm going to mention it. I'm going to mention it anyway because it was so public and people are like going off about it.
Yeah.
So he had a 12-second snog, quote unquote, with a mystery woman.
Oh, love it. I love this.
And the video is just like this grainy footage of them in the VIP area. It's 2:30 in the morning. So it's like they're drunk or high or
probably a bit of both.
I don't know, speculating here, allegedly. I don't know.
I hope they're a bit of both. That's the whole point of going to Glastonbury,
They're
right?
enjoying themselves. Yeah. It's 2:30 in the morning, and they're like really going at it, which you don't see a lot with celebs anymore. I feel like they're a little bit more aware.
Harry Styles loves a public pash. He's pashed a lot of girlfriends, and also like Emily Ratajkowski. When they pashed in front of the car for ages and then walked in the building, came back out and pashed again in front of the car. He loves a public pash.
Okay, so we do know who she is now. Her name is Ella Kenny, and she is a producer based in London at a London studio.
Why is this the start of like a really cheesy Netflix rom-com? right?
Oh my God, I feel like
producer meets famous pop star in the Tenant Glastonbury, and then like it's like The Idea of You but without the age gap. I think.
It's literally The Idea of You. That is that show.
Yeah.
It's like it was like when Zac Efron was dating that girl from Byron Bay.
Oh, the waitress from Byron Bay. Yeah, that was great too.
It was like it's like these, big celebrities finding the small town girls.
Yeah. Sometimes it works out. Matt Damon wandered into a bar in New York one day and he's married to that woman and they have many children. So, sometimes it works out. So I'm sure it was just a party pash, but I want this to evolve into something more for them.
She's gorgeous.
Oh, I'm
beautiful.
sure. And I hope she's enjoying this little bout of publicity that's coming with it.
Okay, so those are my Glastonbury highlights. Do you have any that you really love?
Well, I love the fact that Paul Mescal and Gracie Abrams had their kind of public debut because we've known they've been dating for a while, but they haven't really been that public. But they were hugging and kissing in the crowd. She was on stage. She was like looking off to him and singing to him, which is really cute. And then she was the Apple girl. You know how Charli XCX has like mostly a famous person come and do the Apple dance on the big screen at her sets. So at Glastonbury, she had had Gracie come and do the Apple dance, which was very cool. Went a little downhill depending on who you are. So Charli XCX was playing on the Saturday night at Glastonbury. From what I saw looking into the event, it looked like people were loving it. She looked incredible. She had like the big bright wall burning behind her. But apparently there were a lot of complaints about her set from people, to the extent that when she finished her show, Charli XCX went to Twitter, X, what do you want to call it? Still Twitter, went to Twitter and put out a little statement saying, "Really enjoying these boomer vibe comments on my Glastonbury performance. It's super fascinating to me." And then she went on to say, "Like the idea that singing with a deliberate auto-tune makes you a fraud, or that not having a traditional band suddenly means you must not be a real artist. It's the most boring take ever. Yawn, sorry, just fell asleep." So I think people were kind of comparing her to other artists who would have like a big live band and maybe kind of sing a few kind of solos without the backing music or that sort of stuff. And she was singing, it was very kind of like in the vibe of her concepts. It's very poppy, and she did have the auto-tune on to sing with, and it was more of like the visual of the stage rather than having a band. So a lot of people were calling her out for being a fake and saying that this kind of artist shouldn't have been at Glastonbury, and she just thinks that's a boring take.
It's interesting to me though, because the critic reviews of her performance were actually very good. There was one in The Guardian that gave her 5 stars. Rolling Stone gave her a great review. So it's very interesting what people think is a good performance. And I think with something that is classically, Glastonbury is more like rock and roll rather than maybe pop. I think obviously now it's probably more poppy.
Yeah.
But traditionally, I mean, like pop, Fatboy Slim, all of like Fatboy Slim just did their 100th show there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is crazy. But it's interesting to me that just because she used purposeful auto-tune that people are calling her out on it. But like, it's not because she can't sing. She's doing it as a piece, as a part of her art.
Yeah, it's a very specific sound and look and feel that she wants for her show. I understand like the kind of, it's almost like the old guard of Glastonbury that are very used to being like, you have a band and it's just them and their instruments up on stage and that's it. Like no bells, no whistles. It's not meant to be a stadium kind of performance. Whereas I think Charli XCX, like that's the type of show she puts on. And so I don't think it sounds like it was a bad performance. It was more, I mean, to be fair, auto-tune, it to me is slightly questionable in terms of like having, because the whole thing that separates like a true performer from someone who just is famous and records a hit song is like, you can't just, it's like when Lionel Richie was asked about Paris Hilton releasing Stars Are Blind and why she didn't blow up to be this big artist who was touring and selling out stadiums, and he was like, it's so different to recording a song in a sound booth to then being able to go out, and he wasn't saying it in a mean way, but he's like, then being able to go out and perform that song night after night and sell your song on the road. He's like, most people can't do that. And I think that's where the criticism for Charli comes a little bit. They're like, if she can write all these songs and she can have this cool aesthetic and she can dress a certain way, but if she can't get on stage and do it, she's not a true artist. But I think it's more about the sound. Like that's the sound she wants, because I feel like she can get on stage and perform.
I mean, yeah, she created an entire summer last year. Yeah, Brat Summer was all her. I think she can perform, and just because you use, and it was like It's like T-Pain. T-Pain actually has an incredible voice. If you've ever heard a non-auto-tuned T-Pain, you will know what I'm saying. Yeah. Auto-tune is used, I think there's a big difference when auto-tune is used as a part of like the aesthetic of the song versus actually tuning someone's voice because they can't sing.
Yeah, exactly.
And she said it in her little statement. It's purposeful auto-tune. She's doing it on it's not because she can't sing. She's doing it to make that sound for her song. Yeah. So I don't think it's a valid argument.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love how she did the whole thing and then she was like, anyway, this is putting me to sleep. I don't care anymore. Yeah. But I feel like there's a lot of particularly female artists at the moment who are getting a bit of, I feel like all eyes are on them. The stakes are so high. There's a bit of criticism for any artist who comes out, especially because everything now is live streamed almost instantaneously on every social platform, that if they have a bit of a bump or there's any kind of controversy, it gets magnified to an extent. And we're seeing that a little bit at the moment with Lana Del Rey, who's just started her UK tour. So Lana Del Rey hasn't performed or toured for quite a while. She's been very busy getting married. But she opened in Cardiff the other night, her big UK tour, and there was so much hype for it because her fandom is so intense. She's one of the biggest stars in the world, and so many artists credit her, like Taylor Swift and other artists credit her with like shaping the music industry they're all in. So she came out at Cardiff to perform, to open this big tour, and the feedback and all the, I don't know if like my TikTok feed has been full of it, but I've been reading all the fan comments and all the commentary from like journalists who were there, and they said she came very late, which she always does. Like last time she was at Glastonbury, she came out really late because she was getting her hair done, which valid. And she came out really late. She's getting her hair done. But the thing about Glastonbury is that there's a really tight curfew, so they cut off all the sound and lights halfway through her song, and she was trying to get the audience to sing, and everyone's like, this is not what we came to Glastonbury for. But for her UK tour, the fan critique was that they paid hundreds of dollars, some of them, for these tickets. She came out on stage quite late, and then a lot of people said that her set list, she did a few covers, she left out some of her biggest songs, but the biggest criticism was that instead of doing a live rendition of two of her biggest hits, Norman fucking Rockwell and Arcadia, instead, like, a hologram of Lana singing them that was pre-recorded was beamed onto stage, and she just went off stage. So she's there, she's in the room, but instead of singing her iconic songs that you paid there, it's like she just went off and like took a little break. And then also later on she was singing some other songs and she couldn't remember the words, so she was reading them off an iPhone. I don't know. I kind of understand when people are upset. Yeah. Yeah,
that would really bother me.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, again, you mentioned it very briefly, but people spend a lot of money on concert tickets, and they're also spending a lot of money to travel to these places. Yeah. So they're forking out hundreds of dollars, and then someone doesn't respect I have a real problem with lateness. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is when people are late.
That's a bit awkward that we work together now.
No, but like, late. You know, I'm like, not
half an hour late. She was.
It's
getting her hair done.
I don't like that. I don't like that. If it says something that you really have to be on time for, which is, it's a show. You could have gotten your hair done, then start half an hour earlier.
I know, but I'm also like, she's a performer. Like, they're meant to be like, imagine going to like an old school rock concert and being like, oh, the band was late and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. The lateness I can kind of get over, not just because I'm a chronically late person, but it's like when the artist gets there, like you expect artistic people and like music stars and rock stars, you expect them to be very haphazard and creative. So her coming out late because she's getting her hair done, I'm okay with that. Her kind of being a bit emotional on stage, which she was, great. Like, that's the whole point of Lana Del Rey. I think what people are upset about is like they don't expect an artist to kind of wander off stage and not come back and then put up a hologram. The bit I saw that I was very invested in, I watched about 56 clips of this, no joke, was at one point she gets very emotional and she just stops singing and she puts her head down and she starts crying, and then she walks really slowly off stage where her alligator tour boat driver husband, Jeremy Dufresne, is standing on the sidelines, and they start making out. This is mid-concert. And I would have just said that would have been worth the ticket admission.
Do you know what? It feels to me like she was very unprepared.
I just think that she hasn't toured for a while. She's a very emotional person. Some of the songs that were coming up were a lot. And I don't know. Like, she has done this sort of stuff before. Like, I think if you're a Lana fan, you should kind of expect it. But yeah, she walked off stage, but the camera's following her, so she's still up on the big screen. And then she just starts making out with her husband, which I've got to say, it was very hot because I'm still obsessed with their. For anyone who's not across this story, Lana met this. He's the owner, but he also drives the alligator tour boats in the swamps of Louisiana, and they met 5 years ago when she went on one of the swamp tours, and they apparently hit it off. And then many years later, they've reconnected. And he had just broken up with his fiance of 10 years, who was like, any day now he's going to propose to me, but that's another story.
She got to shut up.
And then, And then Jeremy and Lana had this like kind of like, they got engaged really quickly, and then they got married in the swamp where he does his tours. You don't know this?
I did not know this.
Oh my God, this is my favorite celebrity story from the last few years. So yes, in September of last year, everyone's like, Lana Del Rey's getting married. And everyone's like, it was, to me, this was like the peak of the news cycle for last year. So she met this driver. This is one of the most famous, beautiful women in the world, who has had many famous like exes, but also she has dated normies before. Reconnected with this swamp boat driver.
Oh my gosh.
What?
It's the fairy tale again.
100%.
But reverse.
I want this. Somehow I want this and Harry Styles kissing the girl in the tent to be one movie. I don't know how they come together, but maybe it's like one of those New Year's Eve, Mother's Day, Love Actually, where you have all the different celeb marrying normies love stories in one movie. Okay, great. So she reconnected with the swamp boat man. She was very...
you're calling him swamp boat man.
Also, people were so creeped out by him. I think he's kind of hot. Maybe not super up close, but like he's a swamp boat driver. I think that's hotter than like a kind of prissy celeb man who's getting more facials than you. So they got married very quickly. She said she was inspired by Jack Antonoff and Margaret Qualley of like, when you know kind of thing. So they got married in the swamp, surrounded by the boats that are his like swamp alligator boats, and they were all decorated with flowers. And is that not the most romantic thing you've ever heard? You're looking at his picture. Okay, the verdict. Does Ksenia think Swamp Man is hot?
I'm sorry, I don't think.
Oh, really?
No, Swamp Man.
But you have to, just don't look at his face.
No, Swamp Man looks like he spent too much time in the sun.
Yeah, but he's also like the captain of the ship. Isn't that a bit hot? He can like
protect
you
from
leathery.
I'm sorry, he looks a bit leathery.
He is 50.
Well, yeah, that's okay, but he's not my type.
No. Well, you've got to have the backstory.
I'd prefer some Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing back to yesterday's
I think we're
episodes.
just really just discovering we have very different types. Every episode, we're just getting further into this.
Look, as long as she is happy, I'm happy.
He's a rugged man with a job. What more do we want? And owns his own business. So anyway, the alligator man is standing off stage, and when she gets overcome, she walks over. They start making out. Some people are upset about that, and to that I say, give the woman a break. Like, she needed to go and kiss her alligator husband, and sometimes you just need to take a moment. So there's been a lot of backlash around that. But I think what you're saying about the ticket prices is not that hers were crazy, but some people were saying, like, who went to that concert and then went to Beyonce's Cowboy Carter concert that's also touring at the moment. And obviously a lot of the Beyonce tickets are more expensive, but some of them weren't more expensive than Lana, and they were kind of comparing what they got from each one and saying that Cowboy Carter is like so jam-packed. It always starts on time. It's so visual. It's so amazing, and you just get your money's worth. Yeah. And that's what people said about Taylor Swift's tour as well. And I think this is what happens with this idea that concerts, particularly pop concerts, are like the new biggest form of tourism. And so people are basing like their yearly holiday and their yearly splurge around going to these concerts. And that's why you see like all these smaller festivals, particularly in Australia, stopping now or like unable to continue because people, instead of buying festival tickets because of the price of things and having to travel to these bigger tours, people are doing like one big thing a year, and it's usually a Beyonce, a Taylor, a Lana. So when their holiday effectively is ruined because the concert is bad, they're more liable to like lash out, I think.
Yeah, and it just sounds, to me, it sounds like it was, I think people have such high expectations now. You're right. After seeing Taylor Swift's tour, we know Beyonce always does an incredible tour.
Yeah.
People have very high expectations. Yeah. So when it feels a bit sloppy, and that to me is what it sounds like. Like the holograph thing sounds like a bit of laziness to me. Like her kind of, I'm sure it looked cool, but she should have sung that live. Her being a bit late, then kind of like slinking off, not knowing the words. It just feels like it wasn't rehearsed enough, perhaps not as well organized as something like, or professional as something like a Cowboy Carter or Taylor Swift. But people have such high expectations now. I'm sure if this concert was 20 years ago, people wouldn't have said a word. But I think particularly with these pop stars, we've seen what people do on stage. Like Pink kind of like started doing all
she's
of those aerial things on all of her shows.
Backflipping through the crowd and everything. Yeah.
Like Taylor Swift's, like that Reputation tour, I have never seen so much hype around a tour in my life. Like Beyonce is known for like it is all about the stage performance now.
Exactly.
So it feels like it was maybe just a bit sloppy for her.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think her fans have kind of divided, but obviously, like, you know, she's such an icon, so people will still be very invested in her. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of her shows go. But look, I think at the end of the day, I know I didn't like lose any money on it, but at the end of the day, her kissing her alligator man on stage, I was like,
let's get Laura an alligator man.
Yeah, I'm not going to know. I'm only surrounded by like, I think this is why I'm projecting on these sleds. I'm only surrounded by these like influencer prissy men in Sydney.
Okay, Laura,
no
we
one
need
owns
to.
An alligator
do you know
boat
what?
Here.
We're not going to get you an alligator man. We're going to get you a crocodile man, babe.
So you know how there's that trend on all social platforms, but mainly on TikTok, where doctors who have never treated famous people get their images up and they go through and say every cosmetic procedure they think they've had and explain why they look a certain way, all that sort of stuff, and that, like, you know, these videos can get huge traction and like a lot of views. Recently, Khloé Kardashian is the latest, I guess, victim of this, because to celebrate her 41st birthday, which is not a very nice way to celebrate someone's birthday, a London-based doctor called Johnny Bettenridge put up 2 photos of her, which were many years apart, and went through her transformation and talked about all of the cosmetic procedures he thinks she's had done to really transform her face. So he put up a photo from over a decade ago and also a photo from the recent infamous Venice wedding, the billionaire wedding, and said, based on recent photos, I believe she may have had the following work done. And he went on to list a lot of things, including a temporal brow lift to elevate the outer brow area, an upper, not a doctor, guys,
blepharoplasty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just
blepharoplasty.
Okay, I'm glad you know what that is. To smooth the upper eyelids, a rhinoplasty for a more sculpted nose, lip filler to enhance volume and shape, a face and neck lift for overall tightness and definition, and a chin implant to lower her face projection. So he went on to say that she's had a huge amount of work done, and that's why she looks so dramatically different in the last couple of years. He also said that he can see she's had a bit of a glam makeover and she's styling herself differently, but pretty much he went on to say, like, from a doctor's perspective who works in this area, she's had a full face transplant, which is something people have been saying about Khloé Kardashian for years.
Okay, so Khloé came back and actually commented on the post, which I love. And she has commented on this in the past. So she basically said, look, I've always been really honest about what I've had done. But this is what she actually tagged all of the people as well. Yeah. So this is what she lists. Her nose job she had done by Dr. Raj Kanodia in Beverly Hills. She had laser hair removal on her hairline and all over her body. She had Botox and Sculptra. She didn't say where she got that done, but the Sculptra. So Sculptra is an injectable cosmetic treatment that stimulates collagen production to restore facial volume and reduce wrinkles. I kind of want that. Soft Wave, which is a non-invasive laser. I wouldn't call laser surgery.
Yeah.
Just quietly. She had collagen baby threads underneath her chin and neck from The Things We Do. So that's just basically where they put these little threads in there and it like mimics a facelift.
Yeah.
She said that she also had filler, but it's been a number of years, so that's probably dissolved out of her face. What I think is interesting is, and then she also talks about like having a ton of facials, like sperm facials and things like that. But I would never consider facials as part of a cosmetic procedure.
No. But I think that's very telling that it's in there. Like that's part of the cover up to an extent.
Yeah, but Dr. Betteridge, I've seen a lot of his clips before. I don't think he was being nasty. I didn't think it was nasty. He's just
that's his profession. He's more just commenting from his profession. Obviously, like, it's never great to comment on anyone's face, but at the same time, he wasn't like, there's some videos like that I've seen where they rip them apart, where he was just saying, like, in my professional opinion, this is everything I think she's had done.
Well, it's interesting when he was looking at photos of like the ear, and then they start to think about like, where's the ear gone? But that ear movement could be explained by the baby threads. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how this stuff works. But I've heard those little thread things, those collagen things, that could explain why her ear was a bit different.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I think is really nice about this, I quite like that Khloé's been very candid and like, she's like, this is what I've done and here are all the places that I got it. do we think she left something out?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the kind of interesting thing is like I've never been one of those people who demands that celebrities tell us everything that they've done to their faces and bodies, because I just assume they've done a whole bunch of wild, crazy, expensive stuff. And I always think it's completely unattainable to look the way they look and then look the way we look. But I know a lot of other people don't think that. And there's this real push to get celebrities to tell us everything. And I wonder if she's sort of seen how favorably people reacted to her mum, Kris Jenner, when she had that big face and neck lift surgery recently. And like her doctor came out and confirmed it, and Kris Jenner confirmed it. And then also recently Kylie Jenner, who's also been accused over the years of having like basically a full face transplant, replied to someone on TikTok and gave the exact formula for her boob job, like the amount that she had put in, where she had the implant put, who her doctor was, all that sort of stuff, and they got really celebrated. So I wonder if Khloé was kind of going down that path. But I also think it's almost like, I think the thing that the Kardashians and a few celebs are leading into now, it's almost like deflective honesty. Deflective honesty, because they know they can't blatantly lie and say nothing. So instead of doing that, they kind of breadcrumb a few little less invasive things, or well, so like, oh, I just got like a bit of a boob job, or I got this like little tweak here, and then it kind of throws people off the conversation, the bigger conversation of having like almost a full face transformation.
Yeah, I think that that's a really interesting point. People do that a lot, where they'll be like, oh no, it's just this, or I had to have that. It's a way of like, you give them a little bit of information even if there's more underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like give them a little bit to keep them satiated. I don't think celebrities owe us an explanation on what that they've had done to their bodies and faces. However, I do think it's nice to be honest about it, particularly when it's something that's quite obvious.
Yeah.
So, when people are like, oh, it was just weight loss, or, oh, I just drink green smoothies or whatever, like that bothers me, because it makes it so that people who don't realize, because yes, you and I know that that is unattainable, and they have a lot of money and they have all of this access to the best facials, stylists, all of that to make them look good. You and I know that. But there's a lot of people out there that think that they're not in the right bodies because they don't look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do think they do have a bit of a responsibility to tell people that there's a lot that goes into the way that they look. And the way that Kim Kardashian looks at 45 is not necessarily quote unquote normal.
Yeah, exactly. That's the interesting thing. It's like they want to give us this little bit, because they know like the Kardashians especially, they have always said like, we're open and honest about what we do. And so they'll kind of like pepper in these little truth statements. But even like, putting in all the facials and things, it's like a facial doesn't change the bone structure of your face. And I know that Khloé also put in her statement, because she had that tumor removed from her cheek, and that's why she was photographed wearing a bandage for many months. And I know that she was talking about having to get some sort of work done to fix that. Like obviously that's totally understandable, but at the same time the conversation on her face was well before that. So I think, I don't know what she's had done. I'm also the worst at also picking when people have cosmetic surgery. Like I'm always the last person to guess, but I do think that it's a lot bigger than a nose job and some fillers in there. But what I think is more kind of the celebs that we should demand truth from are the ones who are selling products to get us to look like them. If you're just out and about walking on a red carpet and you've had your whole face redone and it's so obvious, but you say, oh my God, no, I've just been drinking a lot of water. I'm just
Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just drinking, what did she say, chia seeds. And you're like, oh, look, the world is really mucked up, and you just have to say that, and it's fine. I get it. But if you're one of those celebs who's out there peddling a beauty brand and you're holding up these expensive bottles and saying, if you buy this, you'll look like me, Jennifer Lopez and Kim Kardashian to an extent. Both these women have said they've had nothing done to their faces, that they've had no cosmetic procedures. They don't use all those crazy Botox fillers, all that sort of stuff, like their words. And then they both have these very expensive like beauty brands and lines and things that they put their names to. And that's where I think I would demand a bit more transparency.
Yeah, I think so. I think we, particularly J-Lo, I that drives me crazy. It's not olive oil. Like,
I know, it's not
honey,
olive oil.
It's not.
Some people do age very differently, I will say. But
she's Latina. She's like, she obviously has good genes. I don't doubt that. But there's no way.
It's also like there's no way that you're under that much public scrutiny and you have that much money and you don't do something. To me, that's the bigger thing than like even her sort of saying like it's a moral thing. It's just like you have all the means there to do it, so you're more likely to do it. But I think the big fish in this conversation is Kim Kardashian because out of all her sisters, she has always been the one that's denied anything. Like, and I do kind of think like the butt implant thing might have been a lie. I know she had them x-rayed, she had her butt x-rayed on
that was
the
so
Kardashians
weird.
and that was a whole thing. And I was like, I actually do kind of believe that that's real. Like, I've never thought that she had it implants. That seems a step too far.
I think implants, I've watched a lot of Botched, so I really know a lot about plastic surgery. That was sarcasm in case that didn't come across audio-wise. So I don't think butt implants are actually a thing. Like, it's more like the BBL, so it's removing the fat. So putting actual implants in a bum is really hard because you sit on your bum constantly, so it's like not very safe to put silicone in a bum.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
So you like even BBLs aren't very safe to do. They're quite dangerous because
and painful from what we've heard.
So they suck all that fat out and putting that fat in there. The fat can move, it can migrate, it can they're quite dangerous procedures. I don't think she's got butt implants, but it is really interesting to me. I think out of everyone, out of all of her sisters, she's never admitted to anything. Yeah, I wonder what it is that is keeping her from just being honest.
I think because even though she talks about the fact that like she'll show how much time she spends in glam and she'll show how much time she gets her face contoured and she'll show her hair extensions and her crazy makeup and all these things, but I think she really prides herself. She's like, I change my body. Like, I will run on a treadmill in that heated suit for hours on end. I will go. It's like a point of pride with her where she's like, I will go for days without food. And everyone's like, oh my God, no, toxic diet culture. But for her, it's more important to be like, I did this by myself and here's everything I did to my body. She'll put herself into these wild corsets and waist trainers. And that's like the mythology of Kim Kardashian, that she changes the shape of her body in these wild ways. And she loves like showing when she gets back from the Met Gala and her whole back is bruised from the corsets and stuff. It's like a very point of pride with her that she did that.
It's like she's an athlete.
Yeah, that's what she always says. She's like, I'm an athlete. Like, I train for these events. I push my body to the brink to look a certain way. And it's like a point of pride with her. So then if she starts saying, I've had, I don't even know, like fat sucked out, liposuction, Botox, fillers, it takes away from the mythology of her. So I think, and also she's got her beauty line and she always says like, I use these particular products and they're super expensive. And she's like, if you buy these Kim Skin products, you'll look like me. So if she's one of those celebrities where if she comes out and says, I've had my face redone, then her business will falter. So I don't think she's ever going to say it, but she would be the person I'd be most interested to have this kind of like defensive honesty moment of at least kind of like pepper a few little tidbits of things she had done.
I love the honesty. I think we should keep it up. I think people need to be way more transparent about what they've done, particularly when their whole face has changed, particularly as women are aging and like we don't even know what a regular 50-year-old woman looks like anymore because of plastic surgery. Don't get me wrong, I am going to be doing all the things that I possibly can.
Oh, I can't.
When I'm 50.
I know it's terrible to say. I want to as well. I'm just really scared of needles.
Are you?
I haven't. Yeah, I want to get Botox. I honestly, just because we're on camera all the time. So this is what I mean. I understand why celebs do it, but I'm so scared of having anything on my face. Really?
I've had Botox. It doesn't.
All right, you might have to come with me.
I'll come and hold your hand.
Okay, please do. Please do.
Well, thank you so much for listening to The Spill today. And don't forget to follow The Spill on TikTok and Instagram. We put lots of really fun things on there and little tidbits. And The Spill is produced by Manisha Iswaran with sound production by Scott Stronach. Mamamia Studios are styled with furniture from Fenton & Fenton. Visit fentonandfenton.com.au. We'll see you back here in your podcast feed at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.